Hey, everybody, how are you? Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend a few moments with me here on SML TV. Guys, last night, for those of you that watched it, because, I basically sussed this whole thing out. The only time that I get clear, unfettered, unhindered internet is at this time. Anytime from 7 till about 10:30, it's good. Tell me in the comments below if I am loud, if I'm audible and clear, if I am visible. Tell me in the comments below, folks. I only have about 30 minutes with you, so I won't keep you long, but there are a few things I'd like to say that I think you will find interesting and important. So break it down for me. Go ahead and drop a comment. Tell me now, can you hear me? Can you see me clearly? My Facebook family. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you. Wherever you're from, the Maldives, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Kwakasomo Kuchinsadi, Kutwapia Kundola, Kumansa, Western Province, wherever you're calling, wherever you're watching us from, Livingston. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Guys, a few things I need to talk to you about today that I think are pertinent, okay? Let's begin. As many of you know, yesterday, we all watched this fiasco that unfolded before our very eyes. Here it is. The D.E.C. summoned the former First Lady, Esther Lungu, to their offices for questioning. And that's something there's nothing strange about that. There's nothing out of character about that. It happens in every single administration. Okay, so we've seen this happen before. We've seen this unfold before. But yesterday, the notorious Patriotic Front, the PF, this party that exhibited a character that we are all familiar with. It was not surprising to see the PF act the way that they acted. Here it is. When former First Lady was summoned, she got to the offices. Of course, there was a whole group of supporters there. Tutwang Glube, who's supposed to be an officer of the court. Tutwang Glube, who's supposed to be a lawyer. Tutwang Glube, who's supposed to be referred to as counsel, ended up acting like an absolute vagabond. And there is no other way of describing his behavior, where he stands in front of a police officer and he says, and he shows up like he's Thor or something. Thor, the guy with the big hammer. He shows up and says, "Who's in charge of this nonsense?" Referring to the work of the police. We all know while the police are not perfect, we all know while the police are imperfect, we all know while the police are blemished, the police are there to do a job, and that job is to keep law and order. Imagine for a moment if we didn't have the police. Imagine how chaotic this world would be without law enforcement. So the whole essence of the police being there was to maintain law and order. And here it is. Tutwang Glube shows up like Thor and starts to throw his weight around. We want to know who sent you, who's in charge, who has given you instructions. Now, guys, yesterday, what I witnessed and what you witnessed was a police service for the first time in a long time. And of course, I'm not suggesting that they've never done this, but you understand what I'm saying. For the first time in a very long time, I saw the police act with tremendous restraint. Tell me in the comments below if that resonates with you. Tell me in the comments below if you saw that as well. For the first time, I saw Zambia police, for the first time in a long time, I saw Zambia police conduct themselves with tremendous restraint under an environment that PF was trying to create, under a hostile environment that PF was trying to create. We know PF's character. They're hostile, they're abrasive, they're violent, they're vulgar. P.F everything about them, they are the personification of not only violence, they are the personification of being anathema to the rule of law. They are the personification of rebellion against authority. That's who they are, and that's what they stand for. And to see Ngulube as a lawyer, I felt ashamed. And let me hasten to say this. If, in fact, the Law Association of Zambia has any type of clout, if they have any type of sharp teeth, they should sink those teeth into Tutu Nguluba and put him in his place. Who the hell does Tutu Nguluba think he is, walking around, throwing his weight around, acting like Thor, like he's the Incredible Hulk, saying to the police officers, who is in charge of this nonsense? Chima, know your place. Now, guys, you must understand that the police are there to do one thing, like I said, and you are there to do this one thing, and I'm going to throw it up here for you so that you know exactly what we're talking about. When the police give you an instruction, comply. Comply. I know that's not easy to do, because Lord knows I've been in a situation where I've had to confront, I've had a confrontational conversation with a police officer. But the one thing I do know, and I'm on record, I've said this a multiplicity of multitudinous tens of times. The one thing I do know is that when a police officer gives you an instruction, just do it. Just comply. What does the word comply mean? It means to obey. The police, here it is, Tutu Ngulube stands in front of the police officers, in front of the car there, and then he starts giving directions. He starts waving the car forward, saying, come. If we were here, because now someone, you as a police officer in your uniform, you are insignificant. Step aside. And there is Tutu Ngulube motioning for the vehicles to come forward in full view of a uniformed police officer. The gall, the unmitigated gall, the audacity of those PF chaps led by Tutu Ngulube. Folks, that is the type of history we've come from. And I tell you, sometimes I wake up thinking, especially in the beginning, I used to think, oh, I hope this is not just a dream that these PF guys have gone. Do you ever feel that way? Do you ever sometimes go to bed at night and thinking, I hope this is not just a dream. I hope I'm not going to wake up and still find President Edgar Lungu in office with his band of criminals. Do you ever feel that way? Because, guys, the truth is this. What you were seeing, what you were witnessing yesterday, when you saw the PF acting the way they were acting, what you were seeing was a culture of rebellion against authority that none of us miss. I don't miss that type of chaos. This is what I call them, the patriotic front. You know those black soldier ants? We heard them before we saw them. That culture, thank God we got rid of those vagabonds. And I'm very, very pleased that we did get rid of them. So here's the thing, guys. And the other thing that I noticed was Makebi Money Man Zulu. Somebody needs to please explain to me just who in the double hockey sticks, who in the hell does Makebi Money Man Zulu think he is? Here's what I think. Money Man is stretched out and spread out too thin. Anytime there's a PF somebody, anytime that there's a whiff Anytime that there's a gong of a PF person in trouble, here comes Mwewa Money Man Zulu. He's running, boy. And they keep throwing money at him because they know that he's the only guy that can do their bidding. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I think. I think Mwewa is taking on too much. I think Mwewa has bitten off more than he can chew. I mean, you can only solve so many problems. You're only one man, one firm, but every single solitary vagabond, every single solitary PF despot, every single solitary PF lawbreaker is heaped on Mwewa Money Man Zulu. Mwewa, you can only do so much, brother. You're not God. And here it is. Mwewa walks in and he's addressing the press now. And now this is after Esther Lungu has given her statement. She's spoken to D.E.C. D.E.C. says, okay, you can go for now. Mwewa comes out and he addresses the press, and Mwewa thinks that he walks around with a wand, like a magic wand, like he waves it around and says, he says yesterday, he says, here it is. We've spoken to the D.E.C., the former First Lady has spoken to the D.E.C. We consider the matter closed. What the hell are you talking about? You consider the matter closed? Who in the HE double hockey sticks told you that? Because here it is. This was the statement. And you know, Mwewa's arrogance, it sort of chaps my hide, honestly, really. It gets to me. I'm not sure. Does it get to you? Because it gets to me. Here it is. The D.E.C. This was the statement by the D.E.C. Okay, now, remember, place this statement against the backdrop of what Mwewa Zulu said. Remember, Mwewa Money Man Zulu says, we have talked to D.E.C. and we consider this matter closed. This matter is closed. We've a simple check there at the Ministry of Lands has yielded the results and they have indicated who is the rightful owners and the rightful owner of those properties. That's Mwewa Zulu. Here it is. As soon as he was done saying that, guess what? The D.E.C. issued this statement. The D.E.C. said, and I quote, the interview with the former First Lady went well. An ordinary statement was recorded. The property is seized. Okay, so that means it's not over. Okay. The property is seized and further investigations are continuing following her explanation. That is a diametrically opposed statement from what Mwewa Money Man Zulu was saying. What Mwewa was basically trying to imply was, look, we've done all we can, and we trust that this issue is put to bed. Well, it doesn't work that way, Mwewa. You don't walk around with a wand and you just wish something away. You can't just wish something away. You can't do that, Mwewa. Okay? You listen, yeah, here's the thing. Oh, wait, what my phone here? Okay. Let me just mention that. Okay. Here's the thing, guys. Oh, where's that statement? I was looking for it. Where was it? Oh, yeah, here it is. The D.E.C. has to go where the evidence takes them. This is really important. In the D.E.C. doing their job and doing their work, they have to go where the evidence takes them. If the evidence takes them to the cesspool of debauchery, well, that's where they have to go. If the evidence trails and snakes through the former head of state's house, well, that's just where they have to go. There are no sacred cows. I know we say that, but you know, the truth is there aren't any, okay? There are no sacred cows. Go where the evidence takes you. And here it is, guys. I have to say this. I have to say this because, you know, this is something that I'm very passionate about, and I think all of you guys should be passionate about as well. Let me throw it up here so that we know exactly what we're talking about. Guys, the fight against the corrupt PF must yield results, or else. I tell you, these PF guys, if they don't get two or three of them, and I mean, when I say them, I'm talking about two or three big fish, and of course, get them legitimately. Nobody is saying, witch hunt and sacrifice and hang and lynch innocent people. No innocent people should be caught in the fray. But I'm saying the people that were corrupt, the people that were questionable, they need to get these guys. Once they do that, as we approach 2026, the NPF are not going to be singing that song. Because I'm telling you, if you don't get two or three big wigs, by get, I mean you investigate them, you charge them, you take them to court, they're found guilty, they're sent to prison. Okay, we understand that process, and we know that there is a process. Once that process is done, ultimately, when the dust settles and when the dew dries, what we want to see is a couple of these guys go to prison. Once that happens, the PF will never sing the song of, no, I'm telling you, at least two or three of them. That was for 2026. We are not going to be drinking any water. Yo, mwali tufienga. Mwali tuvepo shafye. Ama investigations yenu ayabu fi. Te apata pali yao mwa ikaka. Tapali yao mwa kaka. That's what's at stake. And I have to say it again. The fight against the corrupt PF has to yield results, or else. You must know that. All right. The last thing I want to talk to you about, and this is something, again, that I know this is going to sound terrible, but it's the truth. Yesterday's event, and I posted on this, I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again now. The level of professionalism exhibited by the police. Do you know that in a PF government, had that happened in a PF government, people would have been dead. People would have been maimed. People would have been beaten within an inch of their life. But none of that happened. Yesterday, the PF did everything they could to provoke law enforcement, as exhibited by Tutwa Ngulube and his band of crooks. The PF did everything they could to agitate law enforcement. They failed. That effort landed with a hollow thud. The police maintained order. The former First Lady gave her statement. Everybody left. Within an hour of the former First Lady leaving the premises, the road was clear. There were no casualties. There were no fatalities. Nothing. You know why? You know where that comes from? Leadership. Leadership. The leadership sets the tone. Leadership sets the tone. You must know that. And this is why I say, for many of you, and yes, he is our former head of state. He is, and we must give him respect for that. But the truth is, President Lungu was weak. He was weak. He was not humble. And let me tell you why he was weak. It's because they took advantage of his veneer of humility. Let me say that again, because some of you, the reason the PF used President Lungu is because they used him as a pawn. They knew that the electorate viewed him as this humble, meek leader. And the PF crooks, the PF gangsters, the PF vagabonds, they took advantage of that. They took advantage of his weakness, and they shrouded it and they coated it in humility when he was anything but humble. So the reason during the PF, the reason you had this lawlessness of cadres, where a whole president couldn't stand and speak up against cadres, is because he was weak. Innocent Karimanshi was featuring on ZNBC TV. You know why? Because the president was weak. Don't get me started. I'm going to start getting furious up in here, boy. Tell me in the comments below if you think that. I know that's brash, but that's the truth, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Leave me a comment below. I got to go. I've got an appointment. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you on the other side. Oh, 14 hours. Don't forget 14 hours. I got a mystery guest here. 14 hours. Tune in. Bye.